So, if you don't want to talk about some of the political state of the world, then just scroll on. Because that is the fact that these corporations are out of control is what this video is about. Okay, and I know, look, I'm not all excited about the Kellogg's boycott and all that stuff because I've been boycotting shit for like at least a decade. I don't know, a long fucking time, and the list just grows, right? But I want to talk about it from an employee point of view. Okay, I have worked for some really great corporations. All right. Corporations that really do try to do right by their employees. And unfortunately, in these instances, these opportunities were somehow ruined by like management, right? Or the people and behaviors around that, muck up the energy and just get real hateful sometimes and targeting and things like that. Okay. One time I worked for this amazing company, and the benefits were great. The pay was good. The perks were good. But the manager who made the schedule would schedule me regularly, like 9 days in a row, and I still wouldn't hit 40 hours. Okay. And the position required that I be there before open and after close sometimes, right? So, I discussed this with this manager several times, and they told me they were trying to get me to my weekend off. And I'm like, okay, but I shouldn't have to work almost 2 full weeks in a row to get to 2 days off, right? And eventually I told her that I had plans to leave, right? I put in my notice. And I really, really, really had a lot of emotional guilt, right, for leaving, because it was a great job, and it was, but the other girls, okay, were permitted to be very catty and gossipy and just shitty a lot, all right? Number 2, my son, his fundamental growing up years I spent at this company, and I genuinely felt like I should just throw a cot up in the back room, right? And so eventually I asked this manager, just guarantee me my Sundays off unless I have something specific related to my job, and I'll come in and work it. And she wouldn't do it. Can't do that, right? And so I left this position for a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? So I end up at another great corporation, in fact, voted like the best in the area, right? In fact, things were so good that they offered free counseling. At this time, I was leaving a narcissistically abusive relationship, and so I was being gaslit around my intuition and things. And so I did, in fact, I took advantage of that opportunity to see if I was fucking crazy, right? And this counselor, in fact, told me, confirmed that I was not crazy, and even went as far as asking me questions about my ascension, because I was very honest with her and very open, and she actually really confirmed a lot of things for me. Okay, but the point is, I had a meeting with one of the managers, and I had already kind of started being targeted here and there a little bit. But I was going through all this narcissistic abuse and things, and so my behaviors and all of that were not quite normal either, right? And so I shared with this manager what I had been experiencing, and the fact that I had reached out for the counseling that had been offered by the company. And unfortunately, like, the targeting became increased, right? And so I had already moved and things like that. So it just made sense anyway. I just went ahead and left, and like, right? Plus, I was being called to take this leap of faith. And it just aligned, and it was time to go. And I just knew it was time to go. I came into this timeline where I'm done sacrificing myself for others. And it doesn't matter if that's in personal relationships or if that is in jobs that are trying to somehow, some way take advantage of me, or well, basically I feel like I was being forced out. Okay. So, all right. There is this, right, understanding that if you're in a union and all of that, that you just you're taken care of, right? And, it is some companies, like, it's not really about your performance, your efficiency, your like the fact that they can count on you to be there and to do what you're supposed to do and all of those things. It's more about who's been there the longest, right? So about seniority. Okay. And let's be clear. Okay, the living wage is no longer even $15 an hour. Okay. And so, right, when you have experience, when you have education, when you have, and maybe, like, look, a lot of people are in debt to get their education and not making a living wage or enough over the living wage. Like, the government literally says that they are too poor to pay back their student loans, right? So look, even unions are not being able to get $15 an hour base for their members. Okay? Base. Right. And it really should, and they're like, well, you know, if that happens, then you'll have to raise prices and blah, 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 which is the same old excuse. Okay. And the thing is prices are being raised already. Okay. The quantities are being cut back and prices are still being raised. So I'm like, that justification doesn't work for me. And you can't tell me something about becoming a communist country, because communism is a form of government, okay? And the form of economy is a totally different thing, right? So, And there are other countries that are socialist democracies that are doing things. I'm just saying,